G'day mates, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to get to Champions Division or just how to play Arena better. Now, I see a lot of videos out there, they're kind of super in-depth on really specific things. I want to give you a more broad understanding and talk more about game knowledge than pure mechanics. Yes, if you can land flawless triple edits, you'll be able to get to Champions Division easier. If you can then land 200 pumps every single time with the new charged shotgun, you're going to get to champs. But I'm talking about stuff that's going to help the average player more. So I'm breaking down today's video into 4 major points. I'm going to talk about loadouts, when and where to fight, identifying weak opponents or bad opponents, and then how to play endgame. I'm going to give you all the details you need for these 4 core elements of Fortnite, especially catering towards the new meta that will help you get to Champions Division. I'm going to make more in-depth videos on specific things like tips and tricks in the future or stacked endgames, but I wanted to give you more of a broad kind of understanding of mistakes I guarantee you are making when trying to get to Champions Division because you're trying to play like the pros, you're not trying to play to your current skill level. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please chuck a like on it. Please comment down below if there's anything you think I left out. Maybe if there's any part you want me to make a whole video on or what you want my next video to be. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm trying to put out so much content right now. You guys are supporting it. Thank you so much. Let's keep it going and I hope you enjoy the video. Now, the most important question of all, and probably the hardest to explain because it's not going to be the same every game, is when to fight and when not to fight. Very simply put, third partying in the current meta is very, very prevalent. It's going to happen a lot because there's more mobility in the game. Launch pads are easy to find because there's more floor spawns. There's a lot more permanent rotation around the map, like geysers. There is now mobility vehicles. They've reduced helicopters, but they're still in the game quite a lot. You have things like the grappler and you have things like the shockwave launcher. So third partying happens a lot more often. How can you avoid this? 2 main things: knowing when to fight and knowing where to fight. Now, when to fight's a bit more difficult, but if I'm trying to get to Champions Division on an account, I'm not the best mechanical player, but I can kind of hold my own in fights. Drop somewhere that's going to get you maybe 1 to 3 eliminations on spawn or in the immediate area around it, and then have a pretty breezy rotate until endgame. So I did a drop spot video, which you can go back and check out. It was my last video. Much love for you guys who are supporting that. It's doing really well. I'd recommend the drops in that video, maybe like Rickety Rig, some of those drops that are a little bit more medium aggressive. But what you want to do is you want to avoid fighting between when first zone starts closing or pretty much when you're near zone until 4th zone appears. I'll show what that means on the screen right here just in case you're confused, but that's the time when third partying is going to be its worst and taking fights is least worth it because you're getting closer to getting those placement points for top 25. So if you go down there, you've wasted your early game time, but also everyone's rotating and playing super aggressively. So when to fight, I would try and find a drop around the middle of the map that is aggressive enough to get 1 to 3 eliminations, but then you can easily hide and rotate to dead side of zone for your future fights. And that is now where I'm going to describe where to fight. So dead side of zone. I made a whole video on this as well on my YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description and put it on the screen if you want to go check it out. But essentially it's knowing where on the map the least amount of players are. So it's where you can take a fight and have the least amount of chance of being third partied. It's kind of hard to figure out every zone. In that video, I describe it better. But basically, if you have a zone that's straight in the center of the map, and then the second zone pulls towards the north side, and there's only a really small gap between the old zone and the next zone, that's going to be the least likely chance where most people are going to be. So that is where it's more safe to take a fight without getting third partied. If the zone pulls far north for the third zone, which means that you're at Salty Springs, there's this massive gap in the zone. So anyone who's been dropping near Authority, anyone who's dropped on the whole south of the map is going to be rotating up near you. If you take a fight now, you are going to get third partied. Third partying is not just luck. You need to know where and when to fight. So if you're dropping center map, you're going to be third partied more often because people aren't in zone. They're not rotating. They're looking for fights. So if you're dropping center map, don't hang around center map. Go towards the edge of dead side. If I see someone boxed up in the center of zone, anything before half, I'm going to key them because I know that player is being too defensive. I know they're not confident. You need to make yourself look confident. So even if you want to play passive, go to dead side, hide in a bush, or try and build up so people can't just run at you. Because if you box up center zone thinking, oh, this is what I've seen other people do in scrim games because I want to get zone. Arena doesn't play like that. You need to make sure you don't look like a bad defensive player. So again, if you don't know how to figure out where dead side is, go check out my YouTube video. That's where you want to be as fast as you possibly can. You're not going to be able to get to Champions Division just playing passive the whole time. You need to know when to play aggressive. And part of that is identifying weak opponents. Knowing when or who is a bad player is incredibly important to get into Champions Division. I touched on it a little bit in the when and where to fight, but who to fight is going to be just as important. So if you see someone boxed up center zone like I talked about, especially in wood, a light material, they're going to be on average worse player who is more passive. If you run up to their box and that's the person you W key, you're going to have far more success than trying to W key the guy who's launch padding onto a whole bunch of people playing confidently. So how do you identify a weak opponent? That is one way, if they're boxed up early. The second is use your AR or sniper to take some shots at someone and gauge what their movement's like. Do they quickly build? Do they build way too high, way too fast, showing how scared they are? Do they not build at all? Or do they have a really slow reaction time? That's how you're going to gauge who's a weaker player. It'll also maybe give you a chance to A, crack their shield off, or B, hit for white straight away, so you know they have no shield. This is a thing that I talked to Repulse God, one of the best pros in OCE, about this, and I was always so confused why he shot at everyone that moves, and my logic was, hey, why are you so aggro? Why do you shoot at everyone? His logic was, why wouldn't I shoot at everyone to suss out their health? Sometimes I hit people for shield, I run away. He puts himself in a position where he can get long range tags, suss out whether the enemy is good, and then he can disengage if he thinks they are good, or he can push them if they aren't good. So I'm not saying walk up behind someone who hasn't seen you and take shots so they turn around and aggressively push you. That's not going to work as well. But if you're like 150, 200 meters away, you've got the high ground advantage, maybe there's a guys that nearby that they don't have sight lines on, take a few shots, suss out how good your opponent is before you fight them. How to play endgame could be an entire 10-minute video in itself, and I'm gonna probably make a longer video on this, especially now that tournaments are coming back. But how to play endgames in unstacked lobbies. It's a whole different difficulty, and a lot of pro players and top tier players would consider playing in unstacked lobbies at endgame harder than stacked lobbies. It's because more people can see you, but there are ways to play it. The main thing I wanna teach you is to be able to stay ultimate low on front side of zone. So what that means is once you get to half rotating zone kicks off, your first goal as soon as rotating zone shows is to get to front side ultimate low. What that means is you want to be on the bottom ground layer in a tunnel on the front side. So right where zone is pushing towards. You want to be there at all times. I guarantee if you can get good at this skill and you can prioritize this, you will pick up so many more placement points. In unstacked lobbies, if you're on even high ground or you're straggling behind or you're on a mid ground layer, you will get focused by everyone because there's not enough builds to hide in. There's not 40 people pushing towards next zone. There's usually 5 to 15 people. There's not a lot of builds to hide in. Ultima Low has a few advantages. You use less materials because you don't need to build on your floor. You can even just do an open faced tarp, which is one wall to the left, one wall to the right, and a roof above you, and that'll keep you protected. It means that if you have someone stupid, which is going to happen a lot, you're already on front side. So if they try to start holding you and take a stupid fight, you're now not stuck in storm. You're not on the back side. It also means you have full control when the next zone shows to be able to decide what you do next at any time. It's far superior. If you can say high ground's obviously great, but if you're on high ground with only 5 people alive, a lot of them will just start spraying and focusing you, and it's so much harder to hold because the builds aren't there. A couple of rockets and you're taken out, and most good aggressive players are focusing the high ground. You might not get as many wins from ultimate low ground front side, but I guarantee that you are going to get way more average placements and you're not going to make those stupid mistakes. Also, part of this, when rotating zones happen in arena, do not shoot until you are in zone. It is the simplest concept, but so many people get it wrong. Unless you're waiting for zone to go ahead of you and you're going to short pad to front side, or you've got the shockwave launcher, or maybe you've got crash pads, just unless you have a very clear plan to get to front side of zone in the next 2 seconds, do not shoot people in front of you. I know it's tempting. They're running in front of you. You want to be able to shoot them and beam them. Chances are they're going to have at least a little bit of health. You're going to hit them once, maybe twice with your AR. They're going to turn around and build, and now you have to deal with them holding you because they're closer to zone. Much better if you either ramp over them, go behind them, use their tunnels, get to front side, then turn around and hold the players that are trying to get in. They're going to be weaker. They're going to have to run towards you because you've got zone, and they're going to be more shambles as far as their loot and their loadout goes. Get to zone first, then shoot back. Now, to talk about loadouts. Firstly, I want to break down loadouts into defensive loadouts and offensive loadouts. So what I mean by that is if you're going to be playing passive and you really just want to get to Champions Division through placement points, the best defensive loadout you can have is SMG, charged shotgun, and hunting rifle. Now, you can run tac shotgun or charged shotgun, that's up to you, but the ideal defensive loadout is going to be an SMG, a shotgun, a hunting rifle or sniper rifle, and double meds. So the reason for that being, if you have an AR, you can take long range shots and medium range shots better. But when you're doing that, you leave yourself A, very open to sniper bullets, and B, if you're not running an SMG and you're getting W keyed on, which is usually most people's reason why they're struggling to get to champs, you're going to be worse in a box fight. If you switch up the AR for an SMG, it means you're not going to be tempted to take aggressive mid-game fights. It means you're not going to leave yourself open for a sniper shot, and it means that if someone starts pushing you, you have the advantage. So defensively, best loadout to get to Champions Division is SMG, shotgun, sniper, and double meds. Now, best offensive loadout. This is where I believe it is going to be an assault rifle, a shotgun, a sniper, an SMG, and a single med slot, preferably chug splashes or big pots so you can get full shield, not just minis. Now, the reason being is obviously you cover all bases. You can still aggressively push with the defensive loadout I talked about, but having the AR in your kit just makes it that much more advantageous. But one thing worth noting in your aggressive kit is if you can give up that AR for a chili especially, people don't realize how strong the peppers are. If you're going to play aggressively, my biggest tip is peppers. You can phase through boxes without other builds. You can disengage from people. You're guaranteed to win high ground every single time. It makes you swim faster as well. So if you can drop somewhere like the house outside Caddy Corner, the boat near Salty, any of those places that have those high chances of getting the food spawns, and you can get your hands on a chili, you don't need an AR. You can just close the gap so quickly on enemies, use the hunting rifle for mid-range, and then just get in their box. Definitely the best loadout tip I'm going to give you to get to champs if you want to play aggressively. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. I hope this gets you to Champions Division or it helps you climb the leaderboards. This is going to help for lobbies like Hype Nights, maybe even some of the unstacked solo cash cups like Contender, and even some of the lower level Champion Division ones. This wasn't meant for stacked comp games. I will make more content like that when tournaments come out. If there's anything here that you want me to go into more detail on, anything I didn't cover as well, or anything else you want to add, please let me go in the comment section down below. I read all of them. If you liked the video, if it helped you, if you get Champs Division, please chuck a like on it. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more of this content in the future. I'm putting out so much more of it with my editor. If you haven't already as well, check out my Twitch channel. I stream almost all of these gameplays that you're seeing in the background live at twitch.tv/AussieAntics. If anything wasn't clear, come ask me a question, come chat with me. I love meeting you guys, especially from my YouTube fam. So hope you enjoyed the video. Have an amazing one and good luck getting to Champs Division.